Glad you came to Connect to Emily today, where we're going to discuss what it's like when you're still in a toxic, abusive relationship and how you can take the right steps to get out. This is going to be a combination of what I've personally experienced, what I've witnessed with others, and what I know to be true, right? So with that understanding, know that all of our stories and our situations are different, right? My truths might not be your truths, but this is a combination of personal lived experience and witnessed from others that I've worked with and have seen grow and prosper after moving forward with their life without that toxic partner. Now, this is going to have to do with both physical and emotional abuse. Nothing that we are connected to is going to be easy to walk away from. It just isn't. If you are currently in an abusive relationship, tell me this. What's worse? When you're hit and you have a bloody nose, or you're completely belittled and humiliated and left feeling less than a person? Which feels worse? Which one remains longer? For me, it was the constant belittlement, the constant, and this isn't just, if you know my story, you know that I was trafficked for sex, but that wasn't the first toxic type of connection I had with a man. No, absolutely not. That's what it climbed. That was the worst. But throughout my adult life, there was toxic relationship after toxic relationship. Some were more physical, some were a lot more emotional. And it was just constantly putting you down. And then me constantly trying to do something so that they would be impressed. And just, it's like you want the other person to just go, like, all of a sudden something happens, like you did something perfectly, right? And then they go, oh my gosh, I love you. I am so sorry for everything I see now. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that to you. I see now what I did wrong and I want to make it up to you. We are going to build something. We're going to have that life together, right? And then everything changes. It never does it though? You never can do the right thing. Or if you do, it's only for a moment until the torture comes back. I remember those days. I remember how I felt, and I know how I feel today. I know for those I've seen who finally walk away from that guy, or for some, that woman, and their life changes into what they always wanted. Here's the thing. People, we all want the same thing. We might want different cars or different type houses, or we prefer different types of careers. But it is innate in all of us to want to have a happy life, to want to connect and relate with others, to want to have a loving, healthy relationship, to have a family. Some may not want kids, but they still want to find love and happiness in their life. The problem is for some of us, like myself, I had gone through so much trauma in my early life that unfortunately, although I wanted this beautiful, healthy, like we do great things together, I always found myself in toxic relationships with toxic men because I didn't realize I had something that needed to be healed and I needed to work on myself. I didn't see that. I knew something was wrong, but I kept going into it. And it's like when you're in the relationship, you know right now that's not right. We all know. And if it had started off like that, we would have walked away. But people get it confused. Well, they want it. They stay with it. They're a part of the drama because sometimes we're not always the victim in it. We're causing some of the outrageousness too, because it just becomes a whole jumbled mess at some point. But you know it's not right. But if it had started in the beginning, if he had the first day you met hit you, or hit you with some crazy, you're just nothing, you smell, You are just, look at you. You're worthless. You're useless. Can you get away from me? Who knows? What if they had said any craziness? Would you have stayed? You would have been like, to hell with you, and walked away. But that's not how it starts. There's something that connects us. We believe that we love them. We want it to work. We want to build a beautiful future with them because there's times of goodness. There's times of things, and that's what you always look back at. When all the craziness, you just want to go back to that. What about that promise you made? I miss when we were laying in bed and gazing into each other's eyes, and there was something special about us. You said it. You said that we were going to have this beautiful relationship, and you just want to get back there, but it never materializes, not fully. Or you might get a glimpse. You might get a little piece back, but not fully. But you know it's not right for you. And it might take some time before you get to the point where you're like, I'm ready to walk away. I don't know what it's going to be for you or with this person. It's different with everyone. The way that each one of those toxic relationships ended for me were, all of them were different. Some of them were because of me. Some of them was because of them. There's just something that happens that one person, because it takes one person to just say that's it, and completely cutting that bond. Because at some point you're binded with this person, right? And when it's hard to break because then you have to go back to just yourself. And that's a hard thing to do. I just spent all this time and investment. I've done all this for this person, for this relationship. And now you're telling me it's over. I know for myself, okay? Other women who have experienced a lot of trauma, maybe a lot of trauma with that person. For me, it was that trafficking, right? He was my pimp. There were certain things that he knew about me and what I did. Only he knew. How could I ever be with anybody else? He said we were just going to do this temporarily, and then we were going to have this beautiful, he played into the fantasy that he knew I had. And then we were going to have this beautiful life, beautiful home together, all the money fed into that fantasy. It was him abandoning me out on the street 8.5 months pregnant. And I take that back. Let me take that back. It was not when he abandoned me out on the street 8.5 months pregnant. That is not when that bond severed. Of course not. I chased after him. Oh, please, I'm here now. I love you. Please come. Now I was in a maternity home. And this was typical for majority of the women there. We all had these effed up baby daddies, right? Obviously, we all weren't doing so good because we were in a shelter for homeless women, pregnant women. And I would say, for the time that I was there, there might be some random circumstance where you have two people who were doing just really well there and they just needed a little push. You get that sometimes, but often they're not going to wind up in the shelters. There's other resources that they're going to tap into so that they keep going forward. But in that home, I'm going to tell you right now, the ones who I saw make it and who are doing great things in their lives, going to school, working a career, like continually growing. Their children are smiling, having excellent care because they have homes that are healed now that they're living in. These are the people who left. And that's when most of their growth took place. These are the people who left that toxic relationship. Now, as I said, I didn't leave when he abandoned me out on the street. The day I finally said it's over and I blocked everything, I cut off all communication, like there's no. I remember it clear as day. So I was in my new apartment that I had just from the shelter transitional house into the new apartment. And so here's the thing. I knew at that time, like I was not sleeping with him anymore and I knew it was over. But yet when I got my place, I'm like, I have a place. Did you need a shower? Because he didn't really have anywhere then at that point. And so now I held all the control. I had the place. And it's like I wanted to say or do something to where like he would just go, oh my gosh, Emily, I am so sorry. I see all the wrong that I've done. That wasn't going to happen. So I remember that night when I said, that's it, no more. So he was still using, and he had told my little one, or 1-year-old, that he was going to take him for a walk. He's on that Chris. He goes off the handle, right? And if you know anything about addiction and Chris and people, moods, night and day, then you understand. Completely went off. I'm like, oh no. Pick up my son. I was like, are you kidding me right now? This is the same crap he promised one thing and then completely have a flip out and not do it and then blame it all on you. I was like, you've done that with me, so not with him. Not with him. He goes, F you. He had a cup of, like, I don't know, 7-Eleven, like the big gulp cup filled with ice. He took this at me and my one. He took this and he threw it right in our faces. It was like, fuck you. I was like, not to him. This stops now. It stops today. It stops tonight. That was my moment. That was my never again. Never again. I blocked him. That's it. I didn't. There was no like, did he? Nope. Completely blocked. Will not talk to him. When I did that, when I finally said no more, that's when my family and I truly reconnected. My 2 oldest ones and my mom, who were like, absolutely not. We had already started talking again and connecting, but it wasn't until with that man, that we came back together, lived together. It wasn't until that time that I started making strides to where I am now. I'm not the only one. This happens to many of us. And I know if it's not right. And I understand if you're not ready to leave. And some of you may be ready to leave, but there are other circumstances keeping you there. It might, for many women, financial reasons. The man holds all the money, holds all the control. And I don't think people understand, well, it's okay. She could go. To say, I'm going to leave him and go to a shelter with my children, that's a big step. There's a lot to think of. I understand. And I'm not here to convince you to leave today. I'm here for you just to think about it. Because that life that you dream about, that life that you want for yourself and your children, you can have it. You can have it. I promise you can have it. But it's not going to be until you leave that relationship and those people in general. You'll hear it on other talks I've done. We are who we are around. And if you're around that toxic type of negativity, any of it, yelling, screaming, people who are just negative and talk about other people all the time, who always have an excuse not to, all those people, stay away. It will not help you grow into the life that you dream of having. When you are still with this person, it's good to have what we call a safety plan. You should be prepared. Okay. I know that when I was out there with that guy, at any given time, he might drop me off. But I'll tell you, it got to a point where I'd be prepared for if I did get dropped off in the middle of nowhere. There were certain things that I would try and remember to have close on me, right? Like my purse. And I would try and have, I'm going to be real with you right now. Okay. I would try and have usually a little piece of Chris with me. And if you don't know what Chris is, crystal meth. I'd always have a little bit stuffed in like a cutout part in the purse somewhere in there. My phone, chargers, a change of, if I had enough room in the purse, like a change of clothes, pack of cigarettes, and my lighter. If I was dropped off, I knew I had a cigarette because I'd be stressed, right? I'd be panicking, stressed. So if I had cigarettes, the Chris was not only for me to hit, but it's a bartering tool out on the street. Oh, you got some Chris? Yeah, I got some. You want to smoke? Okay, why don't you come and sit in here? Or you could come inside. All of a sudden, I'm off the street. I got some shelter. Unless I knew I was being watched. It was this whole thing. But I was prepared, at least in a little bit of a way, of what to do if I was just poofed out there. Okay. Now, I know that there are a lot of numbers. There's a lot of places to call. And you should start doing some research. I'm going to go over this plan. I don't think it's in here, but I would have a separate email. That's one thing I used to have when I was out there, like an email address that he does not know about or she does not know about. Make sure you're always logging in from like incognito so they can't find it on your phone. And make sure you delete. So that way when you're looking up on Google, he can't look at your history to see what you're looking up, okay, what you've been browsing, because you really need to start looking for what places are out there for what you're going through, right? If it's domestic violence, you need to know who to call, right? Perhaps you need to call when he's not there and start finding out some information about what would happen if you decide to leave, okay? Because one of the things you're going to need to know is, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? And this isn't just, like I said, it's not just for physical abuse. This is emotional abuse too. Where are you going to go? When it's just the last straw. He's yelling, berating you in front of your children, in front of neighbors. And you're like, that's it. I'm leaving tonight. When he leaves, I'm leaving. How is that going to go together if you don't know where you're going? Get prepared now. If you know right now, you know that this isn't right. You know this relationship is like it's not good for you. And you know you want to leave, but you're not ready. But you know, prepare now. Be prepared. If you never use it, you never go to those places, so be it. But you're prepared. Now, let's go through them. Okay. This is a good one. If I decide to leave, I will practice how you're going to get out. Are you going through, you have to think of these things. If he's here in the home and I have to leave because of risk to myself or my children, how are you getting out? Are you on a second floor? Are you getting out the window? Are you getting out the patio door? Are you able to just walk out? Is he just, and you could just walk out? I don't know your situation, but you do, and you need to think about that. How are you leaving if you decide to leave? If he's not there, it's probably a different route. Be prepared for both. Be prepared for both. And make sure, if you write this stuff down, write this down. I can keep my purse and car keys ready and put them blank in order to leave quickly. You remember I said I used to have at least my purse with just those few things in it, because I knew that those were going to be the things that I was going to need when I was out there. And that wasn't really much of a safety plan because I didn't have anywhere else to go. But look, it was prepared for when shit hit the fan. I was prepared. Are you prepared? You might not have car keys. Do you have bus passes then? How are you going to get to where you're going? Are you walking? Are you going to take the Uber? You better make sure you have your phone ready. Always make sure your phone is charged. Always. So where are you going to keep your purse and your car keys or whatever essentials? Where is that going to be so you can quickly get it and go? I always knew the purse was always on me. Who can you talk to? I can tell so-and-so blank about the violence and request that she or he call the police if they hear suspicious noise coming from the house. This would be a neighbor, somebody you've been talking to. They understand what's going on. More people probably know and see what's going on than you realize. Sometimes we get caught up in all of our own stuff. We don't realize that everybody else is seeing this too. Maybe you need to reach out, let them know it's getting pretty bad. If you hear anything, please call the police. For some of you, you might not want to do that. This is all up to you. I will use blank as my code with my children or my friends so they can call for help. We've heard a lot of the pizza, people calling 911 for pizza, right? Come up with some kind of code. This is good to have in any kind of emergency situation. Nobody wants to be caught up in one, and nobody expects it. You should always have some sort of code name or code word. I don't know if it could be something that fits along with everything you can say. Faith, and faith. You don't hear faith and faith, maybe you're taught when you're talking to somebody, you go, and I just have that faith and faith. You know how I am. And they'll know, ding, 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 something's not right. Something's not right. They need to know. Make sure it's something that the other person would not understand was a code word. Okay. If you have to leave your home, I will go too. And it says, decide this even if you don't think there will be a next time. You need to know. None of us want there to be another time. The probability of there being another time is probably pretty high. What should I do? Where are you going to go? You have to decide. When you storm out that house, when you get in that car, where's your destination? And this is also something you need to know. Where's that destination at 2 a.m., 5 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 p.m., 10 a.m., different times of the day, Monday through Friday, weekend, where you might have thought you can go that was Monday through Friday, but it pops off on Saturday. And you're like, crap, now where do I go? Make sure you're safe. Make sure you have a safe place. And even if not, you have a safe number to call to get you to that next safe place. I can also teach some of these strategies to some or all my children. I don't know how old your children are, but I'm going to tell you this right now, and I know none of you want to hear this. None of us want to hear this. We try to believe that, we get caught up in our own stuff, but you know how you feel out of sorts, how this has made you feel, how he makes you feel when he puts you down. If you think that a lot of us want to believe that our kids didn't hear it, out of face, out of mind, they know. How you're feeling is how they're feeling. Same thing. The thing is, you may be an adult. The children, their brains are developing now with that out of sort feeling. So also remember the children. And they may and may not be old enough to where you can say, hey, if this is going on, I need you to call 911. But if they are, you may want to talk to them. And maybe you might not say, if your dad does this or if this happens and you need to do this, not make them feel like this. Just let them know, in a case of an emergency, honey, this is how you dial 911 to get people here that can help us. There's ways that you can say things to not make them any more feeling uncomfortable and in the middle. Okay? When I expect we're going to have an argument, I'm going to move to a place that's going to be low risk. Maybe you don't want to get in an argument with him in front of the kitchen knives, because in the heat of the moment, people do things and they regret later. Make sure you're in a safe place without other things that can cause more harm. I will use judgment and intuition. If the situation is very serious, I can give my partner what he or she wants to calm her down, and I have to protect myself until I am ready to leave. And sometimes that's what it boils down to. Giving in to stay safe. I get it. I understand. It's okay. Use some or all of these strategies. I will leave money and an extra set of keys with so-and-so I can leave quickly. This might be leaving it with somebody. Somewhere in the house, maybe there's a hidden spot that only you know of. But make sure the other person can't find it. Make sure that you keep copies or documents of your birth certificates for you and the children. Things that you're going to need if you step out. What do you need to get a place? What do you need to get your medical going? What do you need to enter into a lot of programs? You need social security card. You need your ID. You need your birth certificate. If you're married, you might need that marriage license. You need those documents to get ahead. Maybe you need to open up a savings account just in your name. And what are some other things that you can do to increase your independence? We know we use mostly our cell phones. Make sure it's charged at all times. There might be a time you got to leave and you don't have your phone. Where are you going? If you don't have a phone or anything else, where can you go? What place can you go? Is there a church? Maybe you need to get connected to church now. That's a really big community of people who want to help and will support you and can help connect you. Who do you know who can maybe lend you some money if you need to when you're leaving? Maybe somebody could help put you in a hotel room, you and the children. Is there somewhere you could leave extra clothes or money? Can you maybe say, if you have your own car, can you put an extra set in your car? What can you do to be prepared? I will use judgment and intuition. If the situation is very serious, I can give my partner what he or she wants to calm her down. And because I have to protect myself until I am ready to leave. And sometimes that's what it boils down to. Giving in to stay safe. I get it. I understand. It's okay. And if you guys are living together, what you can do to make sure, change your locks. Like if you guys both live together, this happens, police are called, restraining orders are put up, he's not supposed to be there. Make sure you change locks. That should be your number one. Come on. Talk to your neighbors, let them know that he's not supposed to be around, and be adamant with calling the police and continuing to block that in your space and in your place and in your life. And it goes on further what you can do if they're in the house, but we're just going to move on because it's just being prepared to leave. Let's just get through that. This is more after you've left and informing your boss of what's happened so that they're aware if they come to your job. That's a good one. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover was those. How do you prepare yourself to leave? Get prepared. Get ready. And when you are ready, or there is that time, you know what to do, who to call, where to go. And then one more thing for today, because it is something that I just heard of before I started this today. And I was like, whoa, I love it. So this was brought to light when Emma Watson had said she was self-partnered. I was like, what does this mean? This sounds totally up my avenue. I'm going to tell you what it is. Self-partnered means that someone is actively choosing to focus on their own well-being and happiness, treating themselves as if they were in a romantic relationship with themselves, prioritizing their own needs and goals, and finding fulfillment within themselves rather than relying solely on a partner to feel complete. Essentially, it's a way of describing being single while actively nurturing and supporting yourself emotionally and mentally, like you would a partner. Some key points are prioritizing self-care, positive self-talk, personal growth, and enjoying alone time. Highlighting the positive aspects of focusing on self-love and personal development. A self-partnership is when you are partnering yourself and therefore treat yourself as the one you are with, says Sonia Samatani, a clinical hypnotherapist, life coach, and relationship and wellness coach. This can be a healthy sign indicating we fundamentally don't need other people to complete us. When you leave, I highly encourage you to self-partner with yourself. What happens all too often is we leave one toxic relationship and scenario and hop right back into another. In order for you to have the life that you want, you must self-partner with yourself for some time. Not a month, not 3 months. Reassess after a year. Okay? That's all for today. Thank you for connecting to Emily today. Glad you came by. Make sure to have your safety plan ready for when you're ready to leave and start your new life. You can have it when you're ready.